So I'm here with my guest, Will, today. First ever guest on the Tim Burks podcast.
That's right. What an honor.
How does it feel?
Dude, it's a pretty surreal feeling. I know you've been talking about this for a while, and just happy to be the first guest, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes, right? I feel like a lot of times you can start something new and cool, or like start a good habit. A lot of that stuff just starts with the first step.
Mm-hmm.
I know, just the decision to work out once is often the thing that gets me to work out for 6 months.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, you see that with, you know how it is with running, winter training especially. Like, the worst part of winter training is tying your shoes and taking one step out the door. Once you got the door, it all takes care of itself, you know? It's just, you just heat up and you just get into that rhythm, and it makes it that much easier to get out the door the next time. So I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely build a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of running, how's your running go?
Good, man. Yeah, so I just joined New Balance Chicago team, Second City Track Club, also known as. And yeah, I'm training for the U.S. 50K National Championship, actually. It's in New York City. It's in a few weeks. So and after that, I'm going to run the U.S. 100K National Championship in Madison, Wisconsin. So yeah, just hoping to make a U.S. national team. That's the goal right now. And down the road, definitely want to make the trials. There'll be trials in the marathon. So just putting a lot of work right now. So many miles, I don't even keep track. That's how many. But just trying to work hard, keep my head down, and just keep getting after it. So
yeah. So knowing you and having been your friend for a long time and being sort of part of the running community, even if not doing it myself.
You were part of it.
I was. I still put down like 10 miles a week.
There we go.
Yeah. But like people watching this or people listening to this, hearing you say running a 50K or 100K, I mean, I think you're a little crazy for that, but they're gonna think you're really, really crazy.
I'll tell you what. It does sound crazy, but anyone can do it. I'm serious. Like the body is capable of much more than the mind gives it credit for. I'm not even like trying to sound like inspirational or anything. I'm just straight up just speaking the truth here.
Mm-hmm.
If you put your mind to it, if you really train for it, like you could do it. You could do it. You have a base of running. Like any average Joe could start training for a few months, maybe longer than that, and they could get their body ready to run that far. It honestly isn't as bad as it seems. I mean, it's tough. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy, but it's not impossible.
All right, so I don't disagree with you, but let me play devil's advocate here.
Fair enough.
Okay,
you're good at that.
So let's pretend you're not talking to me, because, like you said, I have a background in running, and there's sort of that mental discipline that I already have to push through it. Let's say there's somebody out there who right now is really struggling. They're depressed. They don't have their life together. Like, they're just looking for something to get some positive momentum going, and that this is what they choose to start with. They say, I'm going to start running. How do they start to build that mental willpower?
Well,
in addition to the physical fitness.
Even before I get into that, like, I honestly believe that as someone who has like struggled with depression, anxiety, and stuff in the past, like, running is the best medicine. Like, I think it's better than any drug you can possibly be prescribed. And you see so many of the best ultra runners in the world right now struggle with depression, and they found ultra running because they were depressed. Like, it was just their medicine that they took every day, you know. But in terms of like finding the motivation to get out the door, I don't know. You just have to you have to create a routine. Like any routine, it's hard at first. Like, I mean, even just like studying really hard, like studying for the MCAT. Like the first few weeks, like it was tough to get in that routine. Like I didn't want to do it, but once you just do it every day, once you just suck it up and do it every day for a week or two, it just becomes like brushing your teeth. Like it's just something you do every day. Like I wake up every day. And it's never a question of whether I'm going to forget to run. You know, it's like forgetting to brush your teeth. Like, it's just part of my life. It's part of what I do. So I think that people who are struggling with like depression or any kind of anything they're dealing with, first of all, I highly recommend running. It'll do so many great things for you, physically and mentally. And second, it's just all about creating that routine. Make it a priority every day. Just get out the door, even if it's 20 minutes. Just get out the door and run for 20 minutes, and you'll see progress in your fitness and in your mood, I think. So,
Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's a really good explanation of what to do on the macro level and like what kind of routines to try to build. But I feel like a lot of people often get stuck on the micro level of getting that first foot out the door.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not, like, running isn't fun most of the time. Like, it's just, so many things that are good for you aren't that much fun. And so many things that are bad for you are a lot of fun. It's kind of the paradox of life, But yeah, it's about prioritizing your health. I mean, it's not going to be fun all the time. Like, running, like, I just came back from a run. It wasn't that much fun. It was really cold. It was windy. There was snow everywhere. It really wasn't that much fun. But I know that, like, you never finish a run and regret it. So that's how I tell people. Like, think about it. If you're asking yourself whether you should go for a run right now, just know that you're not going to regret going for a run afterwards. Like, you always finish a run, you're happy you did that. So I think that speaks volumes to the kind of sport that it is.
I think that's a really great answer to that question. I mean,
I try.
Yeah, what better rationale than it'll make you feel better?
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not really training for anything, just like getting out and like exercising, it just like going for a bike ride. It just, I don't know, it's the endorphins, man. Like there's obviously science behind it, but it really is the best medicine in my opinion for like any kind of like bad thoughts that you may have about yourself. So, yeah.
I would have to agree. I mean, I can definitely say when I get on, I usually run on a treadmill, but when I get on the treadmill, it's tough. Even now that I'm in a routine, sometimes I don't want to do it, or sometimes I tell myself I'm going to be on there for 25 minutes or 30 minutes, and at minute 6, I'm like, maybe 15.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like, some days you just aren't feeling it, you don't have it. Like, we don't need to be Rocky Balboa every day, Like,
right.
You could, like, that's the thing with training. Like, some days maybe you're a little off. Like, then go a little shorter. Like, just live to fight another day. I mean, there's always tomorrow.
So this is a really interesting topic, and I don't know if it's something that you struggled with. I know it's something that I struggle with, and I feel like it's high school boy syndrome. I feel like until I was probably until this year, like being 23 or 24 years old, I didn't know the difference between being consistent and getting the work done and pushing it too far and overtraining. Like learning to listen to my body and know where my limits were, not only in terms of my absolute limits, but in terms of if I push past this point, I won't be able to work out tomorrow.
Right. And so, obviously, like, I started running when I was in middle school and in high school and college. I've seen this so much. Like, everyone gets stuck in, like I said before, the Rocky Balboa syndrome where, like, you need to go all out every single day to get better, which is just completely against all the scientific evidence that we know of when it comes to training. Overtraining is a real thing that so many high schoolers and especially college athletes get stuck in. They get stuck in this idea that, like, oh, I have to go. I remember when I was in 8th grade, I remember thinking, if I'm running slower than 6:30 mile pace, I'm not getting better, which is ridiculous. Like, where is the scientific evidence that points to 6:30 mile pace being the end-all, be-all, And I remember when I was in college, like, when I was running at Illinois, I was told that, if you're running slower than 7-minute pace, you might as well not even be running. Again, I just simply ask, where is the evidence that suggests that's true? Because I've told you about this before. I did a literature review on the science behind training, and
we're definitely going to talk about that.
All right. Well, yeah. Well,
but keep going.
Okay. Well, I was just, the keys to getting faster are longer, slower mileage and threshold work. Like, running hard, going to the well in practice is not going to get you faster. It'll get you ready for a big race. Like, if you do it once in a while, like right before a big race, yeah, it'll get you ready. But overall, it's not good for you. And so many high schoolers, and I was one of those high schoolers who was just crushing mileage, and I got injured a lot. I think, you remember, I was hurt.
Yeah.
I was hurt
a lot.
And it sucked. And I was an idiot about it. It was my own fault. Like, I pushed things way too hard. I got stuck in this Rocky Balboa mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know runners in college, too, who would go out and they'd throw down 100, 110 miles a week, and they progressively got worse over 4 years.
Yeah. And even, like...
And they didn't understand why.
Yeah, and, like, the mileage itself... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. I don't mean to interrupt the flow. I would like to... I think it would be helpful if we talked about I think everyone knows what the problem is with undertraining.
Right.
We know it's bad to get fat, and that when you're unhealthy physically, you get unhealthy mentally.
Right.
But since I want this to be an educational sort of program,
try.
let's talk about what overtraining is, like how you know when you're overtrained and what happens when you're overtrained. And then once we've established how not to train, let's talk about how we should train. Does that sound good?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, so I have been overtrained many times before, and I remember when I was at Illinois running, there were so like every workout we did was pretty much all out. And I don't want to like speak bad about anyone. Like, they've had some good runners go there, and the coach has had a lot of success there. But like from my experience, like,
and every runner's different.
Right. From my experience, like every workout there when I was there was pretty much going to the well. And so my legs were pretty much in a constant state of acidosis, where you obviously your muscles are flooded with protons when you're working really hard, going anaerobic. It's just and so lactic acid is a byproduct of going anaerobic. And
just for the listeners, what's anaerobic?
So that's when you're running so hard that you don't use oxygen to supply your energy needs, because you're just running too hard. Your demands are so high, you don't have time to use oxygen. So you use so you have to go anaerobic, and then you create and
that has to do with VO2 max, right?
VO2
max
sort
is
of
the amount of oxygen your blood can deliver.
Yeah, it's sort of how like fast you deliver oxygen.
Fast, yeah.
But I think more importantly, your lactic threshold is actually, I think, the most important thing for a runner to look at, I guess, is your lactic threshold, because that's the point, that's the pace at which you start producing lactic acid and go anaerobic. And so you want to keep increasing that. And the way to increase that is actually to train under your lactic threshold, not over it. So actually, you want to undertrain as opposed to overtrain to get faster.
Right.
Theoretically. But
so when you say undertrain, you mean
not like not doing anything.
You mean run under your threshold, your lactic threshold.
So for example, I remember at Illinois I would do 10 by mile. Start at like, I don't know, 5:10, get down to like 4:50s on the cross country course. It was tough. I went to the well every time I did that workout. Like, I was going all out at the end.
Can you explain what that means? Went to the well?
Pretty much, I just dug as deep as I could and used everything I had. Like, I was all out. Pretty much, I went all out. So then I transferred schools, went to Davidson, where I had a lot more success, and the training was a lot different. And the workouts there were easy. Not easy, but a lot easier compared to what I was used to. And coincidentally, I was running a lot faster. And that's because I was training under my lactic threshold during workouts, like running slower paces, therefore increasing it, not overtraining, and then having more left for race day. When you're overtraining, like I said, your legs are just in a constant state of acidosis. You're sore. You just feel fatigued, lethargic. You show up to the race and you have no pop in the step.
Right.
So it's better just to feel fresh and feel like mentally and physically just hungry and ready to get after on race day. So yeah, hope that was a good enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
I touched on.
I think that's a pretty good summary of overtraining, and I think too, just to further elaborate, I think a lot of it has to do with the amount of stress you put on your system. I think when you put more stress on your system, it activates your immune system. And there's an autoimmune response when you're overtrained, where your body actually starts sort of attacking itself, and it's not healing effectively.
Right. I mean,
and then you can also, because it's putting that stress on your immune system, you're more likely to get sick. And there are all kinds of things your immune system.
Totally. I mean, you think like your body is obviously it's a lot more complex than a machine, but you can look at it in a mechanical way, where you have a limited amount of energy in your body. You don't have unlimited energy. You have ATP, and you have a limited amount. Obviously, no one's Superman. And so when you're constantly using your energy to recover from these excruciating workouts you're putting yourself through, you're gonna compromise something else in your body. So sometimes that's your immune system. You're more likely to get sick if you're just pounding your body every single day and not focusing on recovering. So, yeah, very true.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of research too that has shown that kind of inflammation and those autoimmune responses actually, there's some evidence that they cause, but there's no doubt that they're correlated with depression.
Yeah.
When you have higher levels of inflammation and autoimmune activity going on, you're more depressed.
I can't speak to, I didn't really touch on that in my literature review, but I definitely, I've heard that before, but I don't really know enough to like give a strong opinion about it. But yeah, it makes sense to me.
Right.
For sure.
Okay. So I feel like that's a pretty good discussion of what overtraining is. And how does someone know if they're overtrained? Other than sort of looking for what we've talked about already.
Yeah, I mean, there are like specific. There are a few ways. One, you can measure if your resting heart rate's increasing, then your heart's working harder, obviously, which means it's overcompensating for something. You're probably overtraining. Other ways to tell is just by looking at performance. Like if you're overtraining, you're just going to get worse and worse. You're going to burn out, especially, and you see it all the time with run, especially at the Division I level in college. You guys are just constantly pushing things way too hard. And look, they're really competitive. They're hard workers. Like, I'm not taking that away. I am too. But it's about being smart. Another way you can tell, again, is just like your general feeling. Like if you're running easy for a few days in a row and you're not like feeling recovered and ready to go for the next workout, you're probably overtraining. It's just you don't need some like scientific lab studies to tell you if you're overtraining. It's pretty easy to tell. Like, one, if your times are not getting faster throughout the season, you're burning out, plain and simple. Secondly, if you're not responding well to workouts, if you're not feeling fresh and ready to go for the next hard workout or the next race, like, you need to take it easy. Like, again, we're not going to be. This is not Rocky Balboa. It's a fictional movie,
right?
Like, and running just doesn't work that way. And I examined a lot of that in my literature review. But
so, how about for the more common man, who, let's say, I just started running this week. I've never run before. I have no background in it, and I ran like 20 minutes yesterday. And I'm feeling pretty fried today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different. If for the common man who's just starting to run, it's a little different because if you start running, obviously the first few weeks are going to be tough. Like, you're doing something your body's not used to. So I don't think that's a good like. So
do you give yourself more recovery time?
Not really. I would just say you have to get through that tough period of like adjusting your body. Like if I had never run my entire life and I just started tomorrow, I would tell myself, just keep doing what you're doing for the next few weeks, and then once your body starts to acclimate, then you can start adjusting for like harder workouts and really managing your recovery. But I mean, there's going to be some growing pains, like in anything you try to do. Like, I don't really lift weights that much. If I were to lift weights tonight, I'd be pretty freaking sore tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's just because I'm not really used to it. And so I think like, for the common man, like, I wouldn't get as like worried about overtraining because the body's capable of handling a lot, and I think for competitive runners, they're kind of finding that limit. They're really going to that limit and they're trying to stay under that limit. Whereas a common man, like, I don't think they're really gonna overtrain all that much unless they're working out like 8 hours a day. But they're usually not. So
right.
Yeah, I think it's a little different for those, like, I don't know, hobby jobbers, whatever.
Right.
I don't mean to condescend.
Or just
like,
people who are trying to get to improve their health.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's, yeah, and that's think
who I'm trying to read, or who we're trying to read.
Yeah. And I think the key is just for people who are trying to improve their health, the key obviously is to be, get on the treadmill and run, 20 minutes. Like, it's not going to kill you. It'll suck, obviously, at first, but you're not going to overtrain running 20 minutes on the treadmill. But more importantly, and I'm guessing you'll want to talk more about this, more importantly, it's about diet. I mean, I think
you read my mind.
Yeah, the most important way to get healthy is not exercising. It's what happens in the kitchen, and it took me a long time to realize that.
This is a professional runner saying this.
And I'm one who like will eat ice cream and Skittles, and I'll have a lot of cheat days for sure. But no, sugar is poisonous to your body.
Yeah.
If you can avoid sugar and keep your insulin low, you're gonna burn fat, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And you're gonna lose weight and you're gonna be healthy.
Yeah.
So
I find myself often, I don't know, you probably run into this problem too, I would imagine. I say things like, sugar is the devil. And people look at me kind of like I'm crazy.
Well, that's because so our generation is like, what kids. So like in the 1930s, there were articles about how smoking was good for you. Smoking cigarettes is good for you. Our generation is sort of equivalent to that in that we don't think sugar is like we grew up thinking sugar isn't that bad and that fat is the culprit to obesity. When in reality,
which for the record, it's not.
Right. So yeah. In reality, what happened was, as you know, there was a fraudulent study where companies paid off scientists to blame the obesity epidemic on fat as opposed to what's really caused by, that sugar. Mm-hmm. And so we grew up in this. I remember like as a kid thinking like, oh, I can eat sugar, like it's good, it gives me energy. It gives me energy. Like it's BS. It's not. What is a Skittle? Think about it. Like what is a Skittle? Like that's not nutritional at all.
Right.
So yeah, it's I try to live by the rule that, if Abraham Lincoln can't recognize it, don't eat it. It's not real food then.
Yeah. His birthday's tomorrow, by the way. So
is it?
Hats off to Abraham Lincoln.
Honest Dave.
I think that's a pretty good policy. How about carbohydrates?
Yeah.
It's a more nuanced issue. I think a lot of people who recognize that sugar's not great for them are still a little confused about carbohydrates as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you need carbohydrates, obviously, but you don't need as many as people think. And I'm not like a nutritionist or some kind of expert on this,
right?
But obviously you need carbohydrates. Like, when I'm running an ultramarathon, I just ran one last weekend. I was craving sugar, and I was starting to see like black spots in my vision around. It was like mile 28 with a few miles to go. I was just my vision. I had tunnel vision. I was seeing dark spots all over the place. I knew my sugar was low, and so yeah, obviously I needed carbohydrates at that point. But like the average person who's going through life, like doesn't need as many carbohydrates as we intake. What's more important is to eat your protein, eat your fats. Yes, I said eat fats. And honestly, it's just all about eating real food. Like it's just, for layman's terms, like eat real food.
Yeah.
Don't eat like
meat, vegetables.
Right. Fruits, vegetables, meat. Like eat some dairy products. Like that's real food. It's one of the things I don't understand about like. I have no problem with like being vegan or vegetarian, but I know vegans who eat Oreo cookies. Like,
right.
What the heck is the point of going through all this trouble of being a vegan if you're gonna stuff your face with Oreo cookies?
Well, I guess that I would assume just in their defense, I would assume that's more that people who are doing it for the ethical reasons than the nutritional reasons.
That's fair.
Because I don't think anyone thinks Oreos are nutritious. Hopefully not. Oreos are not nutritious.
It's true.
It's
true.
Yeah. But so, in addition to being a professional runner, you are also studying for the MCAT, and you have a bachelor's degree in biology, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So, could we talk maybe a little bit about what, on the more microbiological level, happens with your diet and how nutrition works?
Yeah. So, I guess I actually majored in like larger scale biology.
Okay.
But I will.
Well, we can talk about that too.
No, yeah, that's more of my specialty. But basically, I guess we go back to like, so when you, the key to losing weight, the key to being healthy is keeping your insulin low, because that allows you to burn fat throughout the day as your main energy source.
Okay. So how does insulin work?
Basically, insulin, your body produces insulin to break down your sugars. And I'm not a microbiologist. I don't know exactly, but I know that when you eat a lot of sugar, your body will produce a lot of insulin, and you'll use that sugar as your main energy source, and then store. And so your fat is just being stored. Like your fat's being stored, and you get fat, right?
So is it sort of like when you eat sugar, it goes to some part of your body, and your body uses that sugar for energy, and the insulin helps with the processing of the sugar?
I guess in a way, yeah. I don't know where specifically. I guess I don't.
Okay.
I don't pretend to know all the answers. I just know that from like a macro level, that's kind of what's happening. You eat sugar, your insulin jacks up, and then that's what leads to people getting fat, because you're not burning fat for the day. Your fat's just staying there.
So when your insulin levels are high, it prevents ketosis.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's the whole, like, you know about the ketogenic
diet,
yeah.
And
you're trying to do that, right?
I sort of do it now, yeah.
And that's essentially what I'm saying. Like, just avoid sugar, eat real food, avoid sugar, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm not really that familiar with all the terms, but
so I'm trying not to talk too much.
No, it's your show, dude.
Yeah, well, I guess we could both talk. My understanding is that your body can use fats and proteins and carbohydrates for energy.
Mm-hmm.
When you eat fats and proteins, from what I understand, go pretty much directly to your muscles and are used for synthesis, muscle synthesis.
Mm-hmm.
Fats are, depending on sort of what your metabolic state is like, can either be used right away or it can be stored on your body as visceral fat and to be used later. And from my understanding, what happens when you eat carbohydrates is your liver converts them to a form of sugar. I think it's glycogen, maybe, or glucose.
Yeah, it goes through that cycle. It's the same.
It goes through that cycle, and then it becomes glycogen in the muscle. I think, right?
I should have paid more attention in biochemistry.
Yeah, I'm still learning it too, and I think probably the average person doesn't know this, but my understanding is that because when you eat carbohydrates, your liver converts it to sugar. It actually, eating carbohydrates raises your insulin levels,
right? Just
like eating something that's sugar to begin with,
right?
Totally. Eating a potato can raise your insulin levels as much as eating a piece of candy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest culprit is bread. People get deceived by bread. They think it's like, Jesus ate the bread. He made the bread, and that's what people ate. Yeah. They had their bread and their cheese. And
that's the thing. Like, this is off topic. Like, everyone says, "Oh, Jesus ate bread." Like, the bread that Jesus was eating is a lot different than the bread we're buying at the grocery store today. A lot different. It was natural bread. Now we they say the whiter the bread, the faster you're dead, right? I don't think Jesus was eating white bread.
I've actually never heard that before, but I like that. The whiter the bread.
Well, there's all these preservatives and sugar, isn't it? It's a money making. It's brilliant on their part. They're making more money because it's lasting longer. They can produce more of it, and
when you put sugar in it, it makes people eat it more.
Exactly, it just tastes better. Like I said before, sometimes what feels good or tastes good is pretty bad for you.
Yeah.
So
that's something I wrestle with. As far as the sugar and the carbohydrates thing, because I'm a very evolutionary thinker, and I like to think, why would we have a mechanism in our body that rewards us for eating carbohydrates and sugar? Because they undeniably make you feel good, at least in the short term.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, you do need carbohydrates to some extent, and I don't know, maybe however long ago, man, struggled to find carbohydrates. I don't know. I don't really know the answer to that. But I know that just because something feels good or it makes you feel better doesn't mean it's good for you.
Right.
I know you see that with drugs. I don't think a lot of the drugs people get are good for them.
Right.
Or even alcohol. It feels good. Obviously it feels good, but it's not good for you. We know that.
Right.
Alcohol is not good for you.
It's pretty much. It's one of the worst things you can put.
Your body recognizes it as a toxin. Everyone who says it's
also it's another thing that's sugar.
Right.
It's converted right to sugar.
All the people saying, "Oh, alcohol is good for you," don't listen to those people. It's not.
Yeah. There were, for a long time there was sort of a not necessarily a consensus, but a well accepted theory that 1 to 2 servings a day could have some positive effects. But I recently saw a study that even 1 drink a day can raise your risk of cancer very significantly.
Did it say how much?
It did. I'm not good at remembering the numbers, so I'd have to go back and check. But I know for sure it said that any amount of alcohol raises your risk of cancer. Yeah. There's no safe amount.
Well, that sucks to hear because I'm all for the casual beer here and there.
Well, so am I.
Yeah. I had one last night.
So
watching the game.
So that's actually probably a good opportunity for us to have a conversation about that. Because up till now we've been just talking about health stuff and how to be super healthy, and people who just are watching this and don't know us outside of this context are probably like, oh well, these guys all they do is work out and eat healthy. They're machines. I'm not like them. I can't be like that. Yeah. I can't do those things. I can't eat a ketogenic diet or run every day.
That's the thing. You can. I mean, it's all about making that priority in your life. Even if you don't run ever, if you don't exercise, you can still be healthy. You can still look fit. It's just about eating the right foods. If you're not exercising and you're eating bad, like that's gotta be on you. Like you have to make that a priority in your life. You know, I understand everyone's situation is different. People maybe don't have access to like good food sometimes, and or like exercise equipment. Like I totally understand. But I think like you can make a conscious effort to take proactive steps to just being healthier. Sounds very simple, I guess, but I know it doesn't mean a lot coming from me because that's been like my whole life, just like staying active.
Right, but I mean, that's not to say that you didn't overcome difficulties either, and it's not like you've always been in shape. For instance, in high school,
it's true.
You suffered a pretty traumatic injury. You got pretty out of shape as you were in a wheelchair for a while.
Yeah, you remember that.
But you still got back into it.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't just go off the momentum.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just don't get me wrong.
Talk a little bit about the injury first.
Yeah, so you're talking about my broken leg. I assume.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
intramural basketball.
Yeah. So one day after track practice, I was a sophomore, and I had just gotten back from. I had fractured my foot. I had that dead bone in my foot. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I was running for 1 month. I was finally getting
a stress fracture, right?
It wasn't really a stress. It was like I broke my foot and like a piece of bone like lodged in my growth plate and it blocked blood flow. So like part of my bone was like dead, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know the exact terminology for it, but
so you were already not.
Oh, I was so out of shape already.
Not in great shape.
But I was crushing mileage for a month, and I was just like, I'm getting fit. I'm gonna do some things this year, you know.
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, dude. Seriously, I wore the sweats and everything too. It's crazy. But yeah, no. After a track one day, Coach Santella was like, what's everyone doing tonight? This and that. And I was like, I got an intramural basketball playoff start tonight. Team Rocket Power going for the dub. And he's like, you're not playing tonight. Don't play. Like, I was like, dude, what are you talking about? You knew you knew I quit basketball to run track, and I was also gonna play intramurals. Like, we had this conversation. What do you mean, don't play? And he like called Pitt over, Coach Pitt. Coach Pitt was like, you're not playing tonight. You're gonna get hurt. You remember this? You were there for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not playing tonight. You're gonna get hurt. Something's gonna happen. I was like, guys, like, relax. Like, I pinky promised both of them. Like, I've been playing basketball my whole life. Mm-hmm. Never had a bad injury playing basketball. Just let me play. Whatever.
So fast forward.
So I go to the game. We are 5 minutes till tip off. Coach Pitt walks on the court and says, "Get off the court." I'm like, "Coach, get out of here! This is the playoffs. Come on." And I'll never forget. We were playing Vince Smith's team. He's like, "Coach Pitt, we're gonna break his leg. Don't let him play." Like, he's just joking around, obviously.
Yeah.
We were friends. Like, he didn't mean any harm. And Coach Pitt didn't think that was funny, but I thought it was funny. And so in the game, was going up for a layup on a fast break. I could have passed to Jake Palace, but I didn't trust him to make the shot. So I told him that before. But I went up for the layup. I got fouled, pretty bad, and I landed and I just remember landing on my leg and I just felt this vibration through my shin, and I just I tried to stand up and immediately collapsed to the ground, and that's when the pain set in. And I remember feeling my leg in pieces, just moving my shin bone around. It was in pieces. It was nuts. I had a spiral fracture in my leg.
What did the doctors tell you?
Yeah, they said, well, they told my parents that I was probably never going to run again. They didn't tell me that. They didn't want to depress me even more. I knew it was bad. I knew that. I just knew I was in trouble, honestly. It was bad. My parents were devastated, thinking that my career was over.
Mm-hmm. You were in a cast for how long?
I was in a straight leg cast in a wheelchair for 3 months or so, and then I moved up to. I got this shorter cast up to my knee for another. I don't know. It was a total of a year in a cast, I think.
Okay.
And then all the physical therapy and.
So basically, for a year, no
with
exercise.
Nothing weight bearing. I was able to get into the pool maybe 6 months into it, 5 or 6 months into it. I can't remember the exact timeline, but I was able to start doing some therapy in the pool. And I was able to start biking a little bit. But yeah, when I started running again, my leg was just skin and bone. It was nothing. Obviously super out of shape, gained a lot of weight. And yeah, that was the hardest thing I've ever had to overcome for sure, because obviously physically it was tough, but mentally, like being the AAU national champion as a freshman, and then my career is over before it even really gets started. It was tough for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but here you are.
Here I am, man. And
8 years later,
I gotta thank you guys. You guys never gave up on me. My teammates. You guys became my brothers. It's a special bond that formed, and it was even sweeter when we made state senior year, knowing that we had been through a lot together, and man, it feels like so long ago, like a whole other life to me.
It was a long time, Things happen. Life happens fast.
It does, man. Yeah.
It
does.
I'm really glad you bring up the point of the team, though, because I feel like there's a two-pronged approach I want to take here with creating this podcast and everything that's going to go along with it. And I want to give people the information that they can use to take control of their own mental and physical health. But I think that a just as equally crucial component to the information is a community that works together, that accepts that information and has similar goals.
Definitely.
So what can people do? What advice do you have for people who are not only trying to get in shape and who are trying to figure out how to start running, but how do they surround themselves with a community that's going to help them succeed?
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to surround people who are on the same mission as you, right? We've all seen that meme with like the lions hunting together, and it says surround yourself with the people who are on the same mission as you. It's so important. Like, one, you feel like you're working for something that's greater than just yourself because you're with other people also working for a goal. You build companionship, like you form a special bond. Like, I remember when we were going for our long runs together, like some kind of bond formed where we're all like working hard together and we're all suffering together. You see it in the military, like guys who go to war together, like those guys become brothers, like literally family to each other. In terms of like how that's done, like, I mean, yeah, I think you just need to be proactive and like seek people who are willing to like, go to the gym with you, go on a diet with you, like, just people who had the same mindset, same goals as you. I think that's what it's all about. It helps you stay motivated. So, yeah, I mean, there's nothing like doing things with your friends, and it makes your friendship even stronger at the end. So, yeah.
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah, man. Look how we became good friends.
Yeah.
We weren't friends until we were teammates, right?
When did we meet? 10 years ago. We've been friends for 10 years, probably, since freshman year.
Yeah. Were we friends freshman year?
That's when we first met. You told me to come out for the track team.
I did, didn't I?
We were in gym class together.
Were we with Mr. Smith, right?
Mr. Hughes.
Mr. Hughes. Oh, yeah, Mr. Hughes. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that guy.
Okay. Well, sort of to wrap up, if you could give our viewers and our listeners 3 one-sentence tips on how to take control of their physical and mental health. Practical advice.
Okay. I'll just go back to, I live my life by a certain set of like mantras and rules.
Okay.
So I'll start with, the one is like, shooters keep shooting. Like you have to like, if you, like it's not going to be easy. Like taking control of your life, like getting in shape, like whatever you're trying to do, like it's not going to be easy. You're going to have so many roadblocks. You're going to fail a lot more than you succeed. Like that's just how it goes, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
If you stick at something long enough, you're going to fail a lot. And with that, like just keep shooting your shot. Like just keep getting after it every day, and like I promise, good results will come. Like just keep. You have a bad day. Like let's say you have a bad day. Like something happens to set you back. Like just get back to work. Like put it behind you. Get back to work. That's the most important like mantra I think I have. And then the second one, it's sort of along the same lines. Like I always say embrace the suck. You have to like if you're trying to succeed at something, like it's going to require a lot of sacrifice, and most of the time it's going to suck. Like, you know how it is, like when we were out running in negative 30-degree weather, it sucks, but just embrace it because you're going to be better overall because of it. And the last one, I just think you have to have faith, like whether that's faith in God or which is what I personally I believe in God. I think that He has control over my life, and that helps me, like that eases my like tension and anxiety and like depression sometimes. And But like, just even if you don't believe, like, have faith in the process that like putting in work is going to lead to better results. Like, it's the oldest secret in the book is that there is no secret. You know, like the oldest secret in the book is that hard work pays off. There is no secret formula or ingredient or magical diet. It's just like hard work, staying committed to your plan, and yeah, just have faith, embrace the suck, and keep shooting your shot. hopefully that makes sense, because I don't know, it's just something I try to live my life by. But
yeah. So set goals.
Yeah.
Do the work. Persevere through the tough stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And have faith that doing that will get the job done.
Exactly. It's a better way to put it. Yeah.
Well, I think I would have to agree with all three of those points.
Yeah.
Well, Will, thanks for being my first guest.
Of course, man. Hopefully, I get invited back.
Yeah, I have no idea how long it's been. But
I don't either. Yeah, what do we... I guess the camera's there.
Yeah. So, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We did it.
Dude, that was good, man.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it went well.
We killed it.
I think so, too.
I think the whole thing was solid, yeah.
Why is it not...
Well, you sound here anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you can just link it.
I posted it. So let's see.
Live on Facebook.
Oh, that's annoying.
We are recording on this computer as well. So I get a notification that
You can switch that in settings and stuff.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, you just like download the video, right? And then you can switch
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So should we make it, well,